Alrighty, well, welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast behind the scenes live show, or welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. My name is Michelle. I am the host of the Abundant Accountant Podcast, and today we have a very special guest joining on our discussion today, my partner in crime, all the way on the East Coast for all of you East Coast accounting professionals, that is. Welcome, Denise, to the show.
Hey, everybody.
So she says, hey, everybody. And today we are talking about proving your value against the cost of your services. And it's definitely something that we hear about all the time, especially in our 8-week sales mastery training and everywhere else that I run into accounting professionals. So I love this topic because it's really about understanding clients' problems. It's really about understanding what their dreams are, where a lot of you might think about, well, it's really about what someone needs. And actually it's not, right, Denise? Because this is about sharing understanding what the client's problems are, but ultimately understanding your expertise and how you can solve those for your potential clients.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, and we understand that this is a difficult thing to communicate. So we are going to hopefully help you understand maybe 3 different ways that you can help communicate the value of your work, especially if you're charging high fees for your services, like a high-end tax plan or profit first or a pumpkin plan, right? Because depending on whatever plan you're doing, it's high-level tax consulting work. So again, we're going to share with you different ways you can communicate that value, start getting more yeses more often. So no matter what you charge for your services, you'll have a little bit more confidence underneath your belt. Denise, anything you would like to add to that?
Nope, I think you said it beautifully.
Okay. Well, and I just want to share real quick that this actually really works. So here's a little case study for you, okay? Case study meaning that this actually worked for a client that we worked with who he still is a CPA. He was one of our students at our 8-week sales mastery training program, which Denise and I host online. If you're interested in enrolling for our next quarter, please definitely check out theabundantcall.com to book a time to chat with one of us. But one of our students, Scott, had a potential client that he thought he could probably save about $40,000 a month for them in the amount of taxes that they were overall paying. And their client, or his client that he was doing this consulting engagement for, really couldn't believe it. And when he offered this to them, the client actually said no. And you would think, and I'm sure that maybe you're having the same exact thought, if you're able to save someone $40,000 a month, why wouldn't someone want to engage with you? Does that ever cross your mind, right? And a lot of the accounting professionals that Denise and I work with, we go, well, what went wrong? And you're like, well, how come people don't buy if it's just savings? And actually, people don't buy off a spreadsheet unless you're talking to the pitch queen. That's me. I buy off spreadsheets all day long. If you show me the numbers, why it makes sense, I can actually make a buying decision. However, 99.99999% of the other human beings out there don't make buying decisions that way, right? So he was trying to sell them a spreadsheet. Here's what I can do. Here's how much you're overpaying. Here's what I can save. Here's how much you charge. Should be a no-brainer. And accountants and people like me, we're driven by data. I can't even speak English today. Data. But this isn't how most people think, right, Denise? So it's really
correct.
about how most people decide to make their purchasing decisions, and how we're going to talk about Denise, you're going to have to help out today, and how we're going to talk about that today. So let me repeat that in case, Ian, you want to cut that part out. Accountants are driven by data, and it's really not how most people think, because the 99.99999% of people It isn't about how they decide to buy off a spreadsheet. And that brings
Yeah,
us to our first tip.
because people think it's logical, right? But it's not about logic unless you're a really analytical person. And even then, right? Even then, somebody who's very analytical isn't always going to, it's not going to connect with them to a point where they're going to be like, oh yeah, sign me up, right? Just doesn't.
So what do we need to do, Denise? How do you understand why people buy? What is the first tip?
You've got to get connected to what inspires them, what has them feel emotionally, right? A connection to what it is that you're solving for them. Because people want to buy solutions, right? But solutions to what? Their problems. You've got to figure out, you've got to find out. Just saving money isn't a problem.
Right.
Right?
Well, you would think it is, though. So for the accountants who are listening right now, right, they buy off spreadsheets. I buy off a spreadsheet. So why doesn't it work? What's the psychology behind why that actually doesn't work and why we have to connect to their problems?
Yeah, well, when somebody really has a problem, we call it, right, the problem behind the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really that maybe they're, logically it sounds like, well, you're overpaying in taxes. Well, that is a problem, but it's like that's not something I think about every day. So it's like, how is that impacting? What is that overpaying? What is that keeping me from? That is important to me.
And that's the problem behind the problem. So that's the first tip,
Yes.
actually, is getting to the problem behind the problem. So can you share an example with all the listeners right now of what that could look like? And we can make up a story. We can use Scott's client, and we'll just give you examples based on this one client so you can connect the dots, right? Because also, you learn through stories. So if someone was to need, if you were able to find and uncover $40,000 in savings, that might be the problem. So Denise, what would be a problem behind the problem with that example of $40,000 as just an example?
Yeah, so maybe the real problem is that they've been wanting to buy a piece of property, and they just didn't have the cash flow to do it so that they could expand and grow their business. Or maybe it's $40,000 that would help build an orphanage in Africa that they wanted to, that's important to them. Or maybe it's the difference between their kid going to college or not.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it, right?
So if it were the money to get their kid to go to college or the money to purchase a property to expand their business, that is what would have someone make a buying decision and tell you yes right then and there. And again, that is the part, back to this whole topic of today, proving your value against the actual cost of your services. Because the cost, they will purchase based on what Denise just shared. So it's about the college education. It's about expanding the business and having more properties, whatever that means to the person. So Denise, let's go into tip number 2 to how do you figure that out when you're talking to a client?
Yeah, that's a really great question, right?
So let's use the Scott example. You've read their tax returns or their financials or their QuickBooks or whatever it is, and you uncover $40,000 a month that you could save this client. How do you actually get to the why, the problem behind the problem? How do you do that?
You got to ask the right questions, right? You've got to be curious. You've got to be willing to ask, so tell me, what are some of the challenges that you've had in your business that are a result of you overpaying your taxes?
Well,
that might be the high level question, right?
Okay.
What could you do? You need to get underneath that, right? First, you got to start with the high level, And then they're going to tell you, if you just keep asking, you ask the right open-ended questions, they're going to start to tell you and unpack all that. Oh my gosh, I've been so worried. I've been
Right.
wanting to do this, and I just can't see how I can do it because I got my next quarterly tax payment coming up, and I can't do anything.
Right. So if they say they can't do anything, then that to me sounds like an opportunity to even dig deeper. Because if they can't do anything, then it's really about thinking, how can I go a little bit deeper? Because what happens if they can't do anything? Then you've got another challenge of that it could get worse than it already is. So then what, Denise?
Yeah, yeah. So then that would lead to the next question, right? Because you just want to keep going deeper and deeper so that you get to the pain, like to the bone, right? Ouch, where they're going, oh my gosh, and they're getting present to that. So it might be like, well, tell me some of the things that you haven't been able to do because you're worried about this quarterly tax payment.
Well, I haven't been able to invest in more real estate to expand my business. I haven't been able to save more funds for my kids' college tuition. Those are just a few of what I'm not able to do.
Gotcha. And so by not being able to do those things, how does that show up for you on a daily basis? You've got all these things you're worrying about, right? So what is that like for you? It's got to be
Well,
stressful.
it's extremely stressful, and I feel like I just keep wasting a lot of money. Like we make a lot of money, but then it just disappears on us.
Mm. So when you feel like you're making money but it keep disappearing on you, um, how does how are you able to make financial decisions when you don't know where your money's disappearing to?
Well, that's where it gets a little tricky. Um, maybe you can help with that.
Well, that's what we're here for, is to take a look at if I could help you with that, right?
Right.
And but if things keep going the way that they're going, Michelle, how much longer do you want them to keep going on like this?
Well, I think we could only probably keep going at this rate for about another 3 to 6 months, if I'm going to be honest.
Wow, that's a big problem.
It is. So, as you notice, we just showed you how you can get to the problem behind the problem by understanding and getting to the depths of people's pain points, right? And then the third tip to really focus on, which we can role play right now for you, is focusing on the results. So that's the other main important thing when you're really trying and showing and proving your value to someone, where the cost of your service then will become irrelevant. Um, so again, focus on the result. And I just want to really make this clear because, Denise, I think we've seen this a lot in our classes lately. A lot of accounting professionals, you think you want to ask your clients what they need. And it has actually nothing to do about what your clients need, because let me just tell you, I am your ideal client and I don't know what I need from an accountant. I come to you for you to tell me what I need. It's like going to a personal trainer, right? And you go to the trainer and you start telling them what workout you need to get really fit. Well, then why did you hire the trainer if you already knew what workout you needed? So again, it's not like you never, bonus tip, okay, bonus, you never want to ask a client what do they need from you, because they don't know. So what we're showing you is a way to actually prove your value to a client and have it not be relevant to the cost of whatever you're going to charge this client, because they are actually not connected at all. So, focusing on results, we will continue our role play for you, because the price will become less important when Denise tells me how much it will be of an investment to save $40,000 per month in this grandiose business that I can only keep going for 3 to 6 months. I think I was making that up. But okay, Denise. So I only have 3 to 6 months to go at this rate.
Wow. Wow. So Michelle, what if, what if, if I could help you, like we could find a way so that you didn't have to have this worry of this, 3 to 6 months, you're able to, do some of these things that you don't think that you can do that's been holding you back. I mean, if we could fix all that
Yeah.
and we could, get the IRS off your back, really, right? Then, what would it be like for you? How would it be different? What are some of the things that you'd be able to do that you're not able to do right now?
Well, right now I'm not able to, like I shared with you earlier, put away money for my kids' college tuition. There's an investment property that if we purchased it, I could actually expand this business and not be struggling like we're at because I can only do this 3 to 6 more months. And maybe my husband would be a lot happier with me.
Mm. So if you knew do you know where you want to send your kid to school?
Well, I'm a graduate of the University of Arizona. I'm a Wildcat, so I think that Arizona, University of Arizona.
Wow. So if you could have the money set aside so that you could send your kid to the University of Arizona and they could be a Wildcat too, how would that make you feel?
Oh, that would be so cool. I would be able to go to the homecomings and do all the alumni stuff, and my husband would be so happy. I think that would be like a dream come true.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And in the property that you were talking about, do you have an idea of exactly what the property is that would help you expand and grow your business? Do you know like where it's located, like
Um,
that?
Yeah, it was in an industrial park. It was like a 200,000 square foot building. It would really allow us to have more space, expand our operation, and it was just like it's just the perfect location. It's just the
Wow.
perfect building.
Yeah. So is there like, can you picture like your office there, like what it would look like, corner
Oh
office?
yeah, I mean, we would go to IKEA and just deck it out. We've had this furniture here in this office. It's really old and grimy. So I think a fresh look and some fresh furniture. And I don't know about you. I love walking down the aisles of IKEA. It's like fun. It's like Disneyland for me.
So wow. So if you had an extra $40,000 a month back in your budget, you'd be able to set aside money so that you could have another wildcat in your family. You'd be able to, get that 200,000 square foot building and go shopping in IKEA. I don't know. That sounds like a game worth playing to me.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. Okay, so we just role played how Denise did so wonderfully, really talking about the results that I was looking for. So if you were listening intently, we were sticking to the what, right? Like what I wanted, the building, the college tuition, my imaginary husband that I don't have right now, being happy that I have my imaginary kid going to the University of Arizona to be a fellow Wildcat, right? Like she really focused on the what and not how she was going to help me. So, like in the example, Scott, the CPA, offering the services to his clients, it has nothing to do with your technical knowledge, guys. Okay? And I've been told by a lot of accounting professionals, Michelle, why is that? Blah, blah, blah. It's really about making sure that you're confident you can get the work done, but it's really about what they want. And when you know what they want, that is, and she also Denise repeated what I wanted, right? So you're also reiterating to them what you really are wanting them to make sure that you heard them and what you heard was really important. And she did a very good job. Part of focusing on the results is painting a picture for them of what their situation would be like if you fix the problem, because that is what has clients tell you yes and see your value and not worry about what it's going to cost them or the investment they're going to make in you, because they don't buy off a spreadsheet. So another great way to share some of this, and Denise, we can role play this and make it up, but is really about sharing a case study or a testimonial from a similar client that you worked with to get similar results. So this is a very powerful thing. It has you go and look and think about, and we cover this in depth in our 8-week sales mastery training about how to go back and think about the clients that you've worked with. It really doesn't matter also about what services you offered them. It's actually about the results that happened for them. So maybe it was saving $40,000 a month. Maybe it was really great books. Maybe it was the IRS letters stopped coming in. Maybe it was that they had no more penalties. One of the CPAs we've worked with does a lot of international tax. Maybe it was that they were able to open up their business in the United States of America and do it right with zero penalties and with the least amount of tax paying dollars going to the government. So those are all different variations of stories that you can share. So Denise, do you have a story you'd like to share to help inspire me to enroll with you in this $40,000 month savings plan that you're proposing?
Well, Michelle, you remind me so much of Mark. And when I started work with Mark, he oh my gosh, he was just buried, right? And kind of like you, he was really looking to expand and grow and just couldn't figure out a way to fix his cash flow so that he could, do some of the things that we talked about, like you want to do. And after working with us, oh my gosh, not only did he purchase the building that he wanted to, and he's now moved in and he has a beautiful office, he's been able to go on a vacation for 10 days with his family, touring around the country, looking at universities to send, that his senior in high school is wanting to go to. So they just had the best time. So Michelle, why don't we go ahead and take a look at how we can do this for you, and let's get you started.
All right, good job. So that was a great story. Again, you can use your stories. Maybe there's another fellow accounting professional that you're friends with that you can share stories with. But people live through other people's stories. And the more that you can share how you've helped others puts us at ease. Like if you would have shared, let's say you were going to offer me, I don't know, a tax plan because I don't want to pay a lot in taxes. You could talk about how you helped another online entrepreneur similar to me save a ton of money on my taxes. And they were just like me. It puts them at a more comfort goal, okay? A comfort level. So those are the 3 main things for you to really have yourself prove your value to clients. And really, the cost of whatever you're going to charge your clients will go away just naturally, all by itself. So if you start following these tips to really show your value, prove your value, however you want to say it, the objections and the questions will start to diminish over time when clients, maybe tell you they want to think about it, or all that will just become far and few between. So again, believing in your ability to actually get those results that they want is the most important thing to this whole puzzle. And your clients will definitely appreciate you a lot more, because I can guarantee you that unless you're an accountant listening to the Abundant Accountant podcast, most of you are not asking your clients these types of questions. So if you implement what Denise and I are talking about today, you're going to be light years ahead of a lot of your other competitors, and your clients will feel so much more appreciative and be so much happier. Denise, anything you'd like to add for today?
Yeah, I think, the other thing that we always say, and if you've been listening, you've heard this before, ask really good questions and then talk less. Like,
Yes,
listen more, talk less, listen more, right?
yes,
And it's going to work. It's going to be magical for you. All of a sudden, clients will be opening up to you. You're going to know exactly, what's important to them. And they're going to feel something different. They're going to be like, I like this person. I feel really good. I want to work with them,
yep,
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we always talk about that, and we can always keep talking about it. So it's the 80-20 rule. Listen 80% of the time, talk 20% of the time. Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. It was an honor to be here. We will be doing it live so you can see the behind the scenes and how we do this once a month or so at a random time, not planned, not scheduled. So have an amazing day, and we will see you again soon.